Welcome to another episode of Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I'm Laura Cotter.
And I'm Sky Orchard.
And we are 3 episodes into season 2.
Wow.
All right, I have a fun, maybe fun. I hope we have stuff to talk about question of the day. Do you have any jury duty stories?
I wish. I have read so many John Grisham novels. I am so prepared to serve jury duty. There was one time, it was terrible. I was called like 4 times in a year and still didn't get to go actually do it. But I was called for like the normal 2 weeks right when Sundance was about to happen. And it was my first year at Sundance. And so I put in the little form saying, hey, I really can't do this. And they respond with, cool, we'll put you on 3 months call right after this. So I was on call for 3 months in that time from like March to May. And still nothing.
Aw.
I'll take anyone's jury duty. I'm ready.
You're ready to serve. Do your civic duty. I've been called up for jury duty twice. I've never actually served on a jury. The first time was when I was in college, and I was really annoyed because I think it was like September. It was like the beginning of the semester or something. And I was like, no, I'm in college. I can't just not show up to my classes for a day. Well, this is back when I cared. Like when I was trying to be good and like going to class every day. I never not cared. But I just was much more conscientious of trying to go to class every day. And I was like, I can't do this. And they were like, okay, well, we can put you on like the waiting list and we'll call you up again. And it was the same thing where I was like, we're going to call you up again in a few months. And so then they called me up in January, which was again the beginning of the next semester. And they were like, no, we can't extend you again. You have to go to the courthouse. And I was so furious. And I did everything possible to get out of that jury duty. And so like they were asking, like, they give some of like the big players that are going to come up in the court case, and they ask like, do you have any experience with this thing? So like one of the ones they mentioned was the institution that I bank at and my family's banked at since the 70s. So I was like, oh, yep, nope, I love that financial institution. My family's been going there for decades. And then there was something else, and somehow I related that to like what my dad's work was. And then the last one was always like, okay, and is there anyone here that for whatever reason can't serve? And there was like a mom who said like she didn't have childcare. And so I stood up and I was like, I am paying for classes that I am not attending right now. And this is not a good use of my college tuition. I was on scholarship. And I was like, I can't do this. I have my academic career to think about. And like, I was very quickly dismissed. But I was very righteously indignant about that. And the second time I got called up was actually in the notice period of when I left my job, the most recent job that I left. And I actually kind of wanted to get it because then I would have like a week of not having to report into the job. And I was not selected, but I do have a story from my mom that I called and asked her if I could share and get more details on. And she said I could share it. So this is like the late 80s, early 90s. And my mom got summoned for jury duty. And I'm not going to get to the details of the case, but it was a family suing a car manufacturer for what they believed was a defect that caused a very serious injury to their family member. So my mom's there in the room and they're kind of laying out just like the basic, like that they said that part of the case. And I'm not going to say what the car manufacturer was, but I will say that it's an American made brand. They're asking like, is there any reason anyone feels that they cannot be impartial in this case? And my mom raises her hands and she's like, me? And they're like, okay, we'll go step out in the hallway. She's waiting out in the hallway and like other people get sent out and they get called in one by one into the judge's chambers to speak to the prosecuting and defending attorneys. They're like, okay, ma'am, why do you feel like you can't be an impartial juror? And she's like, because I own a car by this same manufacturer. And there was a period of time where my mom was having to go in every 2 weeks to get the brakes worked on.
Oh, gosh.
And they kept trying to tell her that it was her fault and that she wasn't using the car correctly or she wasn't driving correctly. They spent over like $10,000 trying to fix this car. It later came out that this was a known problem with the car, these brake issues. And so my mom says all of this and she turns to the defense lawyer for the car manufacturer and is like, your company is responsible for every car you put on these roads. If you're getting notifications from dealerships and from repair centers that they're saying the same issues over and over and over again, you are 100% responsible for anything that goes wrong with those vehicles. And if I was on this jury, I would absolutely find you guilty. And by the way, I want my $10,000 back.
Amazing.
And the judge is like, so we won't be able to use you. The attorney who's representing the family actually gave my mom a hug and was like, if I could get you on this jury, I absolutely would.
Amazing. Now I'm even more upset because I haven't even gotten to go to the courthouse and be asked. I just have to call this stupid number every morning to say, no, we don't want you.
Oh, I don't think they do that anymore. The most recent one I had was just Zoom.
Interesting.
And it wasn't even like Utah at that point in time, because this was 2022. So Utah was well into pretending the pandemic hadn't existed anymore.
Yeah, I think my last was 2019. Maybe one day I'll get to step into the courthouse for the joy of jury duty.
Oh, is it a joy? I don't know. I think depending on where I'm at in my life, if I'm not stressed out or going through other things, then I'm like, really? I have to take 2 weeks off my life for this? You don't worry at all that you would make the wrong decision. That's not a thing that concerns you.
No, I haven't thought that far, not gonna lie.
Okay.
It's been romanticized to me about how fun it must be hearing all these cases. I blame John Grisham, but I also love him.
My mom was on another jury, and they did find the person that was being sued not liable. And then another one, her best friend was called up as a witness for a vandalism case. She was the one who drove her best friend there and like sat in the room, and the judge is like, excuse me, who are you and why are you here? Anyway, jury duty stories.
Or lack of stories in some people's cases.
Maybe you'll get one. Hopefully you'll get one. I did worry that we wouldn't have anything to talk about because I don't really. That's why I asked my mom, because I was like, at least I can tell her story.
Thank you, Pam.
All right, should we do this episode?
I guess we should.
So our episode title is Dummy for Love, and we are officially off of Hulu.
I know, I tried to watch it today on there for the no ads and...
No, I used my DVDs because I also heard it's on Pluto TV, but like you can't choose which episode you're going to watch. And then I spent 2 minutes trying to figure it out. I was like, no, I have the DVDs. We're just going to go this route.
Ooh, we could turn this podcast into just Russian roulette of what episode are we watching?
You know what? Not maybe a bad idea. So this is the true TV Guide description. This is not the Hulu description anymore. Sabrina finds out that her vice principal, Mr. Kraft, has a crush on Hilda and sets the two up on a date. But Hilda can't stand him, so Sabrina turns her into a dummy and follows them on the date. Thanks to Hilda, Zelda must do community service in the other realm. I don't like the TV Guide descriptions. This originally aired October 3rd, 1997. Gary Halverson's back as our director. And we have a new writer. It's Holly Hester. She has written for things like Grace Under Fire, The Drew Carey Show, Melissa Joan Hart's other show, Melissa and Joey, and recently Last Man Standing. We have a few guest stars. Patrick Thomas O'Brien is Cupid. He is from The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Night Court, the original and the reboot of Saved by the Bell, Baywatch, Married with Children, Win a Date with Tad Hamilton, which is a movie I completely forgot existed.
Oh, yeah.
He also played the Index Man in Meeting Dad's Girlfriend. So he got a promotion and now he's Cupid. Michael Sneary is Kirk. He was in Saved by the Bell, The New Class. We have Jeremy Weand as the geek, which I'm not even sure who this geek is.
Isn't it the one that Kirk accuses of pinching his butt?
I mean, I didn't really get nerd vibes, but okay.
The voice was sort of nerdy or geeky.
Okay. He was in Clueless, Sister, Sister, and Boy Meets World. Marty Belafsky is the other student, the one with the newspaper. He was in Newsies, Step by Step, The Wonder Years, and Men in Black 2. Sandra Kinder is the waitress, and she was in ER and Ellen. David Cedarholm is Randy. He was in The Hunt for Red October, which as I was typing these up, I was like, wait, is that the one where the boys build the rocket? No, that's October Sky. I always get those two mixed up. They are very different movies. Do not watch The Hunt for Red October expecting to be watching October Sky.
Yes.
He was also in Married with Children, Friends, Ellen, and Mama's Family. Have you ever seen Mama's Family, Sky?
I have not.
Oh, it is just a gem of a show with Carol Burnett and Vicki Lawrence. And it's just, I used to watch this with my mom all the time when I was younger, and it's amazing.
Put it on my list.
Yes, like if you can just watch one episode, it's really good. We have Ichiro Bano as the sumo wrestler, and his only other credit was from something called Body and Soul, where he was also a sumo wrestler. So I actually asked Stephanie, because Stephanie follows sumo wrestling, and I was like, hey, was there ever a wrestler with this name in the 90s? And she was like,
Oh.
I searched the internet. I asked Stephanie, if anybody else can prove me wrong, please let me know. But it looks like this is just a guy who had 2 credits for sumo wrestling, and that's it. I'm sure he did other things with his life. I'm not trying to imply that his life was meaningless beyond that.
His television career.
His television career was very short-lived. And last, we have Scott McLean as man. He was mostly a camera operator, and I'm realizing I didn't really finish the end of these credits because the only one I wrote down was the show Pauly Shore's Vegas is My Oyster.
The crap? I don't know if I even want to know.
And I think I just included that one because we had just come back from Vegas. But I don't think there was anything else I really recognized from him on that list. What are your overall thoughts on this one, Sky?
One moment.
Okay.
It's on Apple TV. Oh, it's just like a comedy show. Pauly Shore's Vegas is My Oyster.
Is Pauly Shore a comedian? Is it a stand-up?
It looks like it. Who is Pauly Shore? American comedian and actor.
Why do I always... Okay, I know who Pauly Shore is now. This is not who I think Pauly Shore is. And he was in a Goofy movie. And Encino Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, who was he in Goofy movie? Bobby Zimmerowski. I don't know that character. I guess we have to rewatch a Goofy movie to figure out who Bobby Zimmerowski is.
You know who I definitely thought this was?
Who?
I thought it was Pauly D from Jersey Shore.
I mean, the title would make more sense if it were Pauly D from Jersey Shore in Vegas, and it's his oyster.
My apologies to Mr. Shore. Paul Shore, Pauly D, Jersey Shore. It makes sense. The connections are there, but they're very wrong.
Scott McClane, 1 degree away from a Goofy movie.
Okay, what are your overall thoughts on this episode, Scott?
Oh, yes.
Sorry, I don't know how to transition from that.
It's called Twinkles, and then just say, what are your overall thoughts?
Do you want me to say it again?
For editing's sake, it will be much easier.
Just leave this one unedited. Let's just go full raw.
I mean, we could. People could realize how many times we say and breathe loudly. It's the inhales, actually, that get us.
I have to take deep breaths, okay?
Maybe I'll leave this part in.
What are your thoughts on this episode, Sky?
Oh my gosh. You know how on some TV shows you have like Monster of the Week?
Yeah.
I feel like Sabrina is Lesson of the Week.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, this was just like another fun little Lesson of the Week. Hijinks ensue, not necessarily overall plot driven at all, but a good time.
I feel like that's all TGIF/teen shows of the 90s. They were always like, what's the lesson this week, kid? In fact, there's a kind of a meta joke in Boy Meets World about this. And I know this is not a TGIF Boy Meets World podcast, but it is. For reasons I won't get into, there's a show within a show where there's a show called Boy Gets Acquainted with the Universe within the Boy Meets World universe. And there's like a behind the scenes moment where the actor who plays Corey is playing the Corey equivalent in this show within the show. He's reading the script and he stops at one point and he's like, we're doing this storyline again? How can he learn so much every week and still be so stupid? And it's funny because it's so true of these TGIF shows. Like, we are going to get a, don't lie to your parents, don't sneak out, don't try to break the rules, don't try to cheat us. Like, we're going to get those storylines so many times, especially during the high school years. It's just how it was. All of them had the same repetitiveness to them.
Yeah.
The one thing I noticed about this episode is that, especially compared to the season opener, Sabrina's magic is pretty advanced in this one.
Been reading her handbook after camp.
And yet we get no mention whatsoever of the handbook or the quizzes or a witch's learning permit or license.
Or, cutting back time from Harvey.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess they're not. No, yeah, they're definitely still talking about boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yep.
There we go. Plot points have already been abandoned. We will see if they come back. Our cold open. Hilda and Salem are in the kitchen surrounded by toaster waffles, which are Whittles Waffles brand. They're trying to win the Great Waffle Sweepstakes by finding the golden waffle. Zelda asks Hilda to send a letter through the toaster when she's finished. She's been called for Witch's Council duty and needs to postpone it. Hilda promises she'll send it. As she leaves, Zelda suggests the solid gold waffle might be in a heavy box.
Very astute, Zelda. So Salem says he's had 30 waffles, which is something he never wanted to know about himself. Whittles waffles are clearly frozen Belgian waffles because Zelda mentions Belgium there. And the range of weight for a frozen Belgian waffle is anywhere from 2.4 ounces to 5 ounces. So if Salem were eating 30 waffles in the 2.4 range, he would have gained 4.5 pounds, which would probably be half his weight if he is the healthy cat range of 8 to 10 pounds. Now, if Whittle's waffles are in the 5-ounce realm, it would have been 9.3 pounds of waffles, so he would have eaten his entire body weight in waffles. Some fun little waffle math.
I'm going to guess a 2.4 ounce range. They look like Eggo toast. Like they look like the small Eggo toaster waffles.
And then Salem also says, I don't have to do witch's duty anymore. That's just one of the perks of being a felon.
He also tells Hilda to get the camera at one point as he balances a stack of waffles on his head.
I missed the
Did
waffles.
you see that?
I think I was too busy looking up the weight of an average frozen Belgian waffle.
This is why you pause, Sky. You have the ability to pause. It's not live TV.
I paused and I went back several times, but I managed to miss the waffles on the head.
Did you notice Hilda's shirt in this scene?
No.
So it's black with white and red lettering, and the white and red lettering says all over, and the print all over is all over the shirt. I stared at it for maybe longer than I should have, just trying to decide if it was being clever or just random.
I would hope to be clever in that.
Our outfit intro is some sort of Western saloon girl, but not really saloony. I don't know. But then she says, why don't you come and see me sometime? But call first.
That was an intro.
I have some I enjoy. I don't know if this is one of them. I was also very confused by the horse jockey one, where she is a jockey, but she acts like a horse. I feel like this is on the same level as that one. I'm not quite sure what it's saying to me.
The jockey horse is giving some hobby horse riding vibes.
Did you enjoy the Instagram reel I sent you today?
Yes, I'm never gonna not get these from you.
Never. Valerie and Sabrina are walking down the hall, and Valerie swoons over Kirk. She asks Harvey to tell her about him. Harvey offers that he thinks he gets athlete's foot a lot, and this really turns on Valerie. Harvey's bummed because he just found out that Joseph Stalin was a bad guy, which means he failed his European history exam. He didn't have time to study with all this football practice. And Sabrina finds this unfair. And as they're talking, Harvey is putting his backpack into his locker and then takes out some magazines that he then carries with him. Where is Harvey going?
He's sloughing school.
Sabrina still has her backpack. If it's the end of the school day, why are you putting your backpack away, Harvey? Do you not have homework in there?
Or he just doesn't do his homework because he thought Stalin was a good guy.
Fair. Maybe he's going to football practice and he brings his magazines because he's just going to sit on the bench. Sabrina is at home and she's typing an editorial about how the school focused too much on athletics and not enough on intellectual achievement. Hilda comes in and runs into a tree in the kitchen. She must have spilled bark extract when she was making a spell to give a guy she dated a lot of ears.
Maybe he'll listen now.
What did you think of that image of the guy with all the ears on his head?
It looked like very Doctor Who alien.
It was a little unnerving.
It was.
Only way that's worse is if it was eyes.
I don't know. The eyes might be better.
Maybe that should have been my question of the week. Would you rather have too many eyes or too many ears?
Am I supposed to answer that?
I didn't know. Your eyes looked like you were thinking about it, so I wanted to give you a moment in case you needed to think it over.
I was definitely thinking about it.
I don't have an answer on that. Well, okay. If they're the eyes of the prescription I'm at now, no, that'd be useless to me. If they're eyes that are better than my current eyes, I would take too many eyes. But otherwise, I'd just go with ears, I guess.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking the same because if it could help me see better, that's great. But like you said, current prescription, my head would just be entire glasses. I'd have to wear like a diving helmet that's prescription lens.
That'd be so expensive. That'd be so, like, how many contacts I'd have to buy and like put mascara on all? No, that's too much. Okay, ears it is. Doesn't matter.
But the amount of Q-tips and then you get an ear infection and...
Don't put Q-tips in your ears, Sky. Don't tell our...
Everyone does it.
But we don't tell people we do that because now we have a responsibility
I'm
to our
not
public.
endorsing it. I'm not saying you go do this. If I had tons of ears on my head, I would clean them. And you know what you use to clean your ears? Q-tips.
Hope.
I want soap in my eardrums.
I said hope.
Oh.
Nothing goes in the ears. Although that'd be more ears you could blow out with concerts. So if you ruined this pair of ears, you'd be okay if you had other ones that were saved. Zelda comes in yelling at Hilda for not sending in her postponement letter. She was so close to finding a cure for acne.
And now there's no hope for the oily.
Hilda tells Zelda to just throw away the letter and say she never got it, but Zelda is worried about setting a bad example for Sabrina. Sabrina doesn't seem to care and says it's not going to make her knock over a liquor store. Zelda reluctantly talks herself into throwing it out, but it shoots right back out of the trash and hits her in the face. At school, Sabrina is looking at the front page of the newspaper, wondering where her story is. Libby said she took it out and that Valerie is no longer the editor. Sabrina confronts Valerie, who admits she turned the editor position over to Libby for a week in exchange for her introducing Valerie to Kirk. Valerie is pretty sure they're going to get married, even though they haven't really met yet. Sabrina runs after a boy who's taking the paper to get printed, and she offers to take it instead. Once the hallway is clear, she changes the front page to include her story and changes a picture of Libby cheering into one shoving pie into her face. And when she does this, the first thing she does is zap off everything that isn't the picture or where her story is going to go. And then she changes the picture and puts her column on, and then she zaps everything else back onto the page, which seems incredibly inefficient.
Yeah, not a great order of operations there, Sabrina.
At lunch, Harvey compliments Sabrina's story, even though he's worried about Coach finding out he's the inspiration. Libby comes over to confront Sabrina, but Sabrina just thanks her for putting her story in the paper. Libby knows she's the one who changed the paper and put the fake photo in. She doesn't even like pie. Mr. Kraft confronts Sabrina in the hallway and tells her she needs to put a retraction in the paper. The biggest donations to the school come from sports, and he can't let those go away. Sabrina still refuses, but Mr. Kraft orders her again. She protests, bringing up what happened with Harvey, until Mr. Kraft seems a little too interested in getting Harvey in trouble too, and she runs away. Libby comes up to Mr. Kraft to ask if Sabrina is causing problems again and to keep his eye on her. Mr. Kraft calls her a good American.
America.
Hilda is dressed up like a lumberjack and carrying a chainsaw to chop down the tree in the kitchen. Sabrina runs away when the doorbell rings. It's Mr. Kraft, and surprise is a vice principal's only friend. Zelda comes in to introduce herself, and Mr. Kraft tells Zelda about the editorial and how he wants her to retract it. Zelda points out that you can't retract an opinion. He asks if this place is some kind of cult, then hears the chainsaw going and runs into the kitchen before Sabrina can stop him. Mr. Kraft sees Hilda and is smitten. He starts quoting poetry at her, but she's not interested.
He recites E. E. Cummings' songs, in parentheses, Roman numerals 8. And E. E. Cummings was considered one of the most important American poets of the 20th century. At the time of his death, he was considered the most popular, just below Robert Frost. He wrote over 2,900 poems and is associated with modernist free-form poetry, and most of his work uses idiosyncratic syntax and lowercase spelling for poetic expression. Oftentimes, you'll see lots of spaces between words as well.
Given what we know about Mr. Kraft, does that sound like the type of poetry he would enjoy?
No, very out of character. I don't see him as a Cummings fan.
I feel like he'd be very like, what's the word? Like the AB, like the,
Rhyme schemes.
Rhyming scheming, very, very strict rhyme schemes and syllable counts and
or like Shakespeare sonnet, because they're just mainstream at this point, and everyone knows at least one Shakespeare sonnet.
I think he'd even have some issue with some Shakespeare. I think he'd want very strict rule following poetry.
None of that iambic pentameter.
Mr. Kraft offers to give her tips on how to refinish the floor once she's done with the tree, but she shoots him down. And what was funny to me at first was with Hilda's getup, you can't see anything of her face. You can't even really see anything feminine about her. So I was like, does Mr. Kraft give off bi energy then? He's just attracted to this person who is hacking down a tree in a kitchen.
Feel like no. Don't want to judge anyone's sexuality there, but no.
You can't see anything about her. Why is he so smitten?
He alludes he really likes a strong, bossy woman.
Yeah.
She has a chainsaw in her hands.
I retract my statement. Valerie approaches Sabrina at school and says she won't be able to breathe if she doesn't talk to Kirk soon. Sabrina mocks her by pretending to give her chest compressions. Valerie leaves unamused, and all of Sabrina's locker decorations from last year are gone, and it just looks like somebody's been writing in her locker in black marker.
Our moon phase is over.
It's like empty. And I guess that's maybe the beginning of the school year. She hasn't had, but like first day of school, I was decorating my locker.
Yeah.
Sabrina zaps her spell book into her locker and looks for something to help. Aha, Cupid. She then rips the page out of the book and casts a spell to summon Cupid.
The page ripping was very upsetting. Cupid's services are valued at $5.95.
Should we see what that is with inflation today?
Sure.
So this was in 1997.
$12.
You think it's 12? $9.95.
Okay. I still suck at inflation.
$10 for Cupid's still not bad.
Yeah.
I'd pay that. Back to the book ripping. We've established people live in this book.
Oh, yeah.
This is an old family heirloom.
But also this book looks different. It's much taller now and skinny.
Is it?
Yeah. Does she have a secondary book now? It's definitely not the original Bejeweled one. It takes up most of her locker space as far as height.
Oh, I'll have to go back and look at it again. So maybe this is the backup book. I don't know. Maybe she magically put that page back in. I was very distraught over the page tearing.
This is one that won't murder people if you rip the pages.
Sabrina points out Kirk and Valerie and tells Cupid to make them attracted to each other, or rather, Kirk attracted to Valerie because Valerie's already there. Cupid shoots the arrow after Sabrina pays him, and Kirk immediately yells at another boy for touching his butt. But then he spots Valerie and approaches her, but she can't remember her name. Valerie excitedly tells Sabrina at lunch that Kirk has asked her out. Meanwhile, Harvey's hat has returned as he winces in pain because of football practice. Coach found out that Harvey was Sabrina's inspiration for the editorial, thanks to Mr. Kraft. She starts to think that maybe she should write a retraction. Libby gives Sabrina her next assignment to transcribe the lunch menus. She's not allowed to write editorials anymore. In retaliation, Sabrina zaps pies into Libby's locker so they fall on her when she opens it. Mr. Kraft immediately blames Sabrina and gives her detention. Sabrina tells him that would really upset Hilda, especially because she likes him so much. Mr. Kraft immediately retracts the detention and gloats about Hilda liking him. And I hate Libby's outfit in this scene because she looks like that black and blue bird that puffs itself up into a semicircle and like bounces around and do like its little mating dance. And I think it's called a Vogelkopf.
I did just Google it because I was like, what kind of bird is that? And what the crap is this bird?
You've never seen this bird before?
No, this was my first time, and it looks terrifying when it's fluffed up.
Can you please find a quick video of it doing its little bouncy dance?
Yes, one moment.
Was thought to be the same species as the one found in
It looks like it has a little black hat on top of its tiny little eyes there.
It doesn't really bounce. I was thinking of a different bird that bounces, but it definitely like skitters around.
It does like a little two-step.
Doing its little like, get with me, ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Libby has on a black leather jacket and I think black pants or a black skirt and then this like bright blue shirt on. And first of all, it just makes her makes her body look weird. It like distorts her body and then it makes her look like one of these birds. So dislike that outfit. Sabrina is begging Hilda to go out with Mr. Kraft, but Hilda keeps refusing. She tries to read her magazine, but Sabrina zaps herself into one of the ads, still yelling, please. Hilda keeps refusing and finally tries running away, but Sabrina zaps a bunch of heads around her, all saying, please. Hilda finally successfully runs away. The phone rings, and it's Mr. Kraft asking to speak to Hilda. Sabrina zaps her throat to speak in Hilda's voice and agrees to go on a date with him. This is where I was like, wow, her magic's gotten really advanced. Like she did the like popping into the magazine thing. She did the head floating thing. She did the disguising her voice thing. Like she's done some good magic in this episode.
That she has.
Sabrina is in her room and summons Cupid again as he's putting baby powder in his diaper. She asks to make Hilda temporarily attracted to Mr. Kraft. Cupid tells her she needs Hilda to fill out a release form to avoid a lawsuit. Sabrina realizes it won't work and dismisses Cupid.
Which Salem then offers, I could go instead of Hilda. You know, me, any excuse to wear taffeta.
Instead, she searches the magic book for a different spell and comes across one that makes your friend into a dummy, aka a Charlie McCarthy.
Which that is a creepy ventriloquism doll. There's a little monocle. The hair on that dummy is real human hair. Fun little tidbit.
That's what makes it special.
Or something. Makes it haunted.
That spell is perfect. Sabrina will sneak along on the date and talk for Hilda. Sabrina asks Salem to distract Zelda for her. He eagerly agrees as he's been meaning to talk to her anyway. And Sky, did you miss the cauldron on her desk?
I didn't realize we saw her desk.
The cauldron seemed bigger.
Maybe as her magic grows, the cauldron grows.
Well, how big was the cauldron they originally gave? I know people who are listening aren't going to be able to see Sky hold up their hands, but how big was the cauldron they originally gave her?
It was actually pretty small there, and so...
Like the top of it, like was it this big around, like the top of it, would you say? Or we're just holding up our hands on Zoom.
Smaller than a frisbee as far as diameter.
Yeah, okay, then maybe it's the same. It was like, I would say it's like maybe 8 inches in diameter.
I do like that analogy I just came up with, though, that the cauldron will grow as her magic grows. So when she becomes a fool witch, she can make a fool potion or put a whole desk in that frickin' cauldron instead.
Definitely still had pens and scissors in it, so sorry.
It's probably best for my mental health I didn't notice.
The scene flips to Salem telling Zelda he wants to show her a new side of himself now that she's on the Witches' Council. She said she can't get his sentence changed, but he ignores this and starts talking about all the ways he's improved, showing her photos, including one of him with Mother Teresa. Do we need to tell the kids who Mother Teresa is?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool.
Google exists.
We've given explanations for so many other people. Where do we draw the line?
We have no rules, just like magic in this show.
There's no consistency to this podcast. Hilda is leaving the house to go to the gym when Sabrina tries to stop her, including breaking down into fake sobs about how awful it is to be a teenager. Meanwhile, Zelda is still leafing through the fake photos. Salem then breaks down sobbing and admits to the fraud. He just doesn't want to be a cat anymore. Zelda finally agrees to put in a good word at the council, and then she spots a photo of Salem with Sherry Lewis.
Take it away, Laura.
I'm pretty sure I've already done a tangent about Sherry Lewis. I feel like I've done this already on the podcast, and I can't figure out why or when it would have been, but I'm pretty sure I've talked about how Mallory Lewis, Sherry Lewis's daughter, now has her own Instagram and TikTok, and she pulls out the puppets and does the voices for them. And I think I stumbled on her like a year or two ago, and it was like a moment where I really needed it. And like to hear like anti-Trump stuff coming out of Lamb Chop's mouth is just so soothing to my soul. But yes, Sherry Lewis is a gem, and she definitely would have been terrified by the Salem puppet.
Yes. I do like that they keep pulling in these references to like other dummies and puppets.
Oh, that is true in this episode. I didn't think about that. Sabrina is still sobbing to Hilda when the doorbell rings. She quickly casts the dummy spell, tests it out, then zaps Hilda into a better outfit. I guess better is debatable. A more formal outfit is what I will say.
Steakhouse chic.
She has Hilda open the door for Mr. Kraft, then hides and talks for her. As they leave, Sabrina rushes out the door behind them. They've arrived at the restaurant, and Mr. Kraft remarks on how quiet Hilda was in the car. And there's a poster that says, Custer Steakhouse. You won't be able to stand after eating our 32-ounce ribeye.
I like the pun. I wish I had noticed it in the episode.
Like they focus on the poster at the beginning of the scene.
I clearly was somewhere else in my...
Do you take really long blinks?
I don't know. I've been traveling for 2 weeks straight.
I missed it the first time through when I was doing my notes, and then my second watch through, I noticed it. It was good. But then I was wondering, do we add a 32-ounce ribeye to the recipe list?
Oh my god. I think it would just be a cook it.
So Hilda doesn't say anything for a couple of beats until Sabrina shows up out of breath. Hilda and Mr. Kraft sit in a booth with Sabrina behind them. A waitress shows up at Sabrina's table, and Sabrina is forced to talk, which means Hilda interrupts what Mr. Kraft is saying. The date progresses with Mr. Kraft telling Hilda about his pretty pathetic life, including that his ex-wife and brother probably hooked up and he's living with his grandmother. He finally asks Hilda about herself, and Sabrina has her say that she wants Mr. Kraft to stop being mean to Sabrina and Harvey. He protests, but Hilda angrily tells him to just promise to quit it. He agrees and admits he likes how forceful she was, which kind of reminded me of the gross Roland remark in the season 1 finale about the like, nag, nag, nag. I really like it. Like that gross remark. Mm-hmm. But then Valerie shows up and spots Sabrina. She's on her date and thinks she's blowing it. Valerie starts talking about how bad her date is going, and Sabrina responds, not realizing she's also speaking for Hilda. It ends up with Hilda and Mr. Kraft kissing, which breaks the spell. So do kisses break spells in general?
Maybe it's because, that crosses a line technically because she's not consenting to the kiss.
So while there's no DEI in which law, there is consent.
At least minor consent.
Okay, some consent. Anyway, Hilda then screams and summons pepper spray, which she uses on Mr. Croft. She gets up and runs into Sabrina, causing both of them to scream. Hilda drags Sabrina to the other realm to see Zelda because she's much better at punishing her. They're in the council chambers, and both the aunts are disciplining Sabrina. It's very dangerous to put a spell on a guardian. It leaves them unable to protect her. What if there was an emergency? Then Zelda, for some reason, takes a dig at Hilda's dress. Sabrina says she did it to protect Harvey. Zelda doesn't believe it was totally selfless. She summons a circle, and if Sabrina is telling the truth, she'll be able to stay inside while wrestling her conscience that just happens to be a sumo wrestler. Sabrina immediately runs out of the ring, admitting she did it to save herself too. And there is no Drell and no explanation about what happened to Drell, so maybe Drell has been overthrown.
Viva la revolution.
Sabrina asks Valerie how her date went at school. It went well, but he only talked about engines. Maybe Valerie isn't so shallow after all. Mr. Kraft tells Sabrina there's something very strange about her and her family, and he is going to keep an eye on her. Harvey asks if Sabrina wants to go to the slicery after school, but she can't. She's grounded, which the aunts take very literally since she's buried in the yard up to her neck. The aunts in Salem leave her alone outside when it starts to rain, but they zap her an umbrella. In our end tag, Cupid is arguing with Salem. He won't use his powers to make Sherry Lewis fall in love with Salem. Salem sickens him. Salem yells at him to get a real job and some pants.
And Salem tries to pay him in anchovies.
And the apple and the sandwich cake thingy that you noticed in the season premiere are still on the desk.
Did not notice them this episode, so winning.
A couple of our followers on Instagram, because I posted a picture of it, said that they also think it's a sandwich. I spent like a stupidly large amount of time looking into this.
A sandwich, but like rubber pincushion? Like, did they have any insight on?
One of them thought it was like a sandwich wrapped in plastic, which I sure as heck hope not if it's still around by episode 3. I understand how this logic that I'm going to tell you doesn't work, but it's the best logic I can come up with. So like I Google searched, it looks ceramic to me. Like it looked a little shiny. And given that the apple was definitely ceramic, I was thinking like, and there was like an egg that was ceramic. I was like, oh, maybe it's like arts class crafts. And there are apparently a lot of middle school kids out there who make ceramic cake slice trinket boxes. And literally the only thing I could pull up on Google that was like ceramic that has like a little berry on the top, which makes me think it's like some sort of pull or handle to open it up. It's the only thing I could come up with. And I know it's cut weird, but then I was like, maybe Sabrina's just really bad at ceramics. I'm pretty sure I sent you a link.
Oh, you might have.
It was late at night because, like I said, I spent a stupid amount of time looking into this. And I think it was like around midnight.
Probably opened it and then just immediately closed it.
Isn't that a great theory? If somebody has a different theory, it does look like a sandwich, but the thing I keep getting hung up on is the little strawberry looking thing on the top. That makes me think it has to be some sort of a box. I did look up how to make them.
Ooh, craft time?
Craft. I do have on my bingo card that I need to host another party at some point. So
yeah, we can add that to our link tree. Everyone make a cake box with us.
Ooh, yeah, let's make it a group project, a podcast group project.
Let them eat cake. Or make cake. Don't eat the ceramics either. That is not endorsed by this podcast.
What happens if you eat ceramic? Like not when they're not dried. I'm thinking like just the clay.
I think it's just sort of the same effects you'd have if you had a pica.
I don't know, pica.
It's where you...
Oh, that thing. Yeah, okay.
Eat dirt and rocks and clays and other stuff.
I don't eat dirt, so I don't know how that feels.
I'm imagining sort of gritty.
Never too late to find out.
Actually, the more dirt you might have consumed as a child, the better your immune system probably is.
I've probably definitely eaten a rock as a child. Like, not on purpose, but I've definitely probably gotten rocks in my mouth, like, by just, like, falling on the ground. All right, anyway, the next episode is season 2, episode 4, Dante's Inferno. Sky, what do you think it's about?
I doubt Sabrina's going down to hell and the 7 levels of hell. That could be fun, though, if we were doing a true Dante's Inferno. I'm trying to think of a situation that would be similar to that.
Do you want a hint?
I guess. I'm not coming up with much besides actual plot of Dante's Inferno.
Dante is a boy.
Oh, gross. I'm going to say he's a hot-headed boy. Dante, the hot-headed boy, causing Sabrina to learn a lesson next week.
All right. We will go with that and see if you're right. In the meantime, you can like, share, rate, and subscribe to this podcast. We would love that if you would.
Keep telling your friends.
Tell everybody, tell your mailman, tell the person who does your hair, tell your dentist, well, especially why they have their fingers in your mouth.
Mm-hmm. I'll definitely understand you as you tell them about us.
Dentists will. They know. You can email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com. We still have a whole bunch of stickers that we've started to give out to people. So who knows how you might earn a sticker from us.
Listen to an episode with a friend. Take a photo as proof. Send it in. Sticker. There's no accountability for this process.
Or you can buy into our cryptocurrency that I created after last week's episode.
Oh my gosh.
I sent Sky a picture of a Salem coin, meme coin cryptocurrency.
Are you going to post that?
It's AI art, and I feel weird about AI art. But at the same time, I'm like, it's cryptocurrency. It's already scummy. And also, I don't know how to do any sort of art programs whatsoever. And I don't want to, for what I would actually have to pay an artist, I would assume would need to be around $100. And I just can't pay $100 for a joke.
If you want to look at that Instagram post, make your own art from it. We'll share it out on our Instagram and send you a sticker.
And if we get no submissions, then I'll share mine.
We got to show them ours, right?
Okay, I'll still show you ours. Yeah, I apologize to all my artist friends who are going to be very disappointed in me.
I'll draw one as well with crayons.
So that's why you should follow us on Instagram at somethingwitchypod.
That was a great segue.
We also have a TikTok that Sky never posts to at something.witchy.pod, but I still get notifications that people have followed us because Sky never checks the notifications. So I keep getting emails about it.
There's something called filters you can establish so they will leave the inbox. I keep meaning to do that for you. I repost videos sometimes. Maybe I'll just start taking videos of the cats and that's all that goes on.
I love that idea. We're very close to 100 followers on Instagram. And maybe if we get 200 followers on Instagram, we'll do something special. I'll think about it. Until next time.
Stay magical.